and retreats with a scowl back into her haven. Well, looks like I got kicked out, I point out jokingly, rubbing my foot with my dreadfully sore hand. Xavier, mute in his wolf form, nudges me gently. I can't go, I complain. My foot hurts too much. He begins to morph, but I stop him by touching his ear. Not here. Look at all the open windows. Anyone could see you. He stops, thinking, then lays down on the untamed grass and whines. What do you want me to do? I question, but no answer comes. Using my hands and knees, I crawl to him, hoping for some sort of indication that would lead me to realization. All he does in response is nod, even this movement regal. Understanding finally dawns on me, and I pile upon his shaggy back, wincing in pain as my ankle brushes across his leg. He is so big that my petite self fits upon him perfectly, like a horse and its rider. However, what makes this so strange is the connection. When I lower my head to his back, my feet hanging off his heavily muscled berth, I can hear his heart thumping. I have to think to myself. This is Xavier's heart. Frozen in time. This is one of the few that will beat forever. Somehow, at this moment, I feel an unfamiliar tug at my heart, a sizzle of energy. Is this the desire Xavier was talking about earlier? For I am experiencing it now, fighting desperately against this alien emotion pounding through me. I tighten my grip around his neck, and then carefully say, okay. He looks up, at the beautiful blue sky, and starts to run into the deep, dark forest. Not so fast, I caution as his legs begin to blur, and he slows slightly. The horizon above us vanishes as trees as tall as the clouds start to multiply, and we are soon surrounded by them. I shudder a little as flashes of my memory surfaces, the hazy white figure with those gruesome, absolutely appalling eyes, charging at me in a scene much like this one. We come to gentle halt, and I accidentally tumble off him, falling on my side. His body melts into itself, morphing into the handsome man that somehow manages to encompass almost all of my thoughts. With one masculine hand, he reaches to me and offers one hand. I take it and pull myself upright, all my weight resting on my uninjured foot. You can't, he says suddenly, sweeping me into his arms. I am a little confused on what I can't do, but I decide not to ask for any clarifications. Stay here, he commands as he sits me down on a rock. I will get a first aid kit and some clothes. He looks at my shirt pointedly, scratched and dirty. A little rip is on the sleeve, overall making my appearance rather disheveled. Yeah. I need some clothes before school starts, or everyone will figure out that I'm practically a hobo. Okay, I murmur carelessly, although in truth worried about being alone in such a huge forest. Xavier smiles, sensing my discomfort. As long as you have that ring, you are pretty much safe, he nods towards the sparkling emerald on my finger. What does it do? It is so conspicuous that I had forgotten about it since yesterday, but now that I look at it, it does look awfully like an engagement ring. It's like a shield, he explains. When you are wearing an emerald, shifters can't possess you. I don't need one because I am a werewolf. I say nothing in response. He offers me one more lingering glance, and then he vanishes into the forest among the towering trees, leaving me totally alone. After waiting for a few dwindling seconds, I laugh. It is the first time in almost 3 days that I have been totally alone. And the thing is, a day ago, I was begging and begging for a moment like this. But now, true loneliness enters my chest. I suppose I have become accustomed to his stalker-like attitude, his quirky laugh, his exceedingly alluring looks. Although I hate to say it, Xavier has grown on me. Looking around at my surroundings, I smile as I spot a stream a couple meters away. The water almost crystal clear and not surrounded by pointy rocks, it will suit my purposes well. With a determined look, I grab a long, thick stick and use it as a cane. The beautiful oasis of slightly heated miracle water winks at me as I reach it, stumbling with my stick. Scanning the area once more, I become satisfied that no one is watching. Not that anyone would want to watch anyways. I slip off my rugged jeans that are too big for me, pulling my shirt over my head. I place it in a small pile near the stream, and enter the water, my soul immediately calmed by the warmth enveloping me. It relaxes my muscles, my feet soothed. I put my head underneath the surface, trying to disengage some of the dirt and leaves from my unruly hair. Grabbing a tuft of it in my cleansed hands, I examine it. trying to remember what my mother's hair felt like. But the remembrance slips from my grasp, all feeling leaving my fingers. The only thing that I am certain of, the only firm memory in my mind, is that my mother was an absolutely wonderful singer. Every night, she would sing me a short and sweet lullaby, the name unknown to me. If I concentrate deeply, I can still hear her voice, the sweetness in each of the notes she uttered. The water swirls around me and I close my eyes, crossing my arms on the ground and putting my head upon it. I let my body dangle in the slow current of the river, soaking in its warmth. The showers at the orphanage are nothing compared to this. How does such a simple stream do this to me? I am so calm that I doubt even a luxury spa can relax me anymore. My thoughts begin to grow hazy, my mind drunken with pleasure. The voice of my dead mother sings to me over and over, murmuring the same intoxicating words that would get me to sleep every time. Opening my mouth, I start to sing along with her. Not quite thinking straight. My volume grows as confidence brews. I try desperately to capture the beauty's gorgeous tone, the melody floating between her lips. What is this feeling, ripping through me like a tidal wave? It is like Mother's spirit is entering me, giving me the voice that mirrors hers. Very pretty, a low, silky smooth voice emits, almost a song in itself. It awakens me from my daze, and the mysterious, beautiful utterance vanishes from my throat, as if it truly doesn't belong there. I gasp and look in alarm towards the manly figure that I know all too well. Xavier, I exclaim in surprise. I didn't know that you were going to be this quick. Red blossoms onto my cheeks, embarrassment flooding through me. He winks at me, standing on the ground over the stream. It's called super speed, sweetheart, he says sultrily, spiking that terrible desire in my heart. Oh, I cough a little, wondering just how I'm going to get out of this situation. I brought you a hairbrush, some clothes, food, and your backpack. How did you get my backpack? I question confusedly. I snuck through the window and got it. Miss Penn unfortunately left the window open when she forced you into exile, letting the same tragedy happen all over again, he snorts. Where are the clothes? I demand, and he pulls them from his jacket. What do you want me to do with them? Put them down, go away, and turn around, I carefully instruct, my tone firm. But why do I have to do all that? He complains as he places the clothes next to my old ones. That's so, he cuts off as he spies my old clothes, his eyes widening. Realization finally dawns on him, and he awkwardly straightens, trying not to glance at me. Sorry, he apologizes, struck a little. For some reason, it surprises me that he is so affected, blushing a deep, tomato red. I always thought that I could never make a boy be like that. As he zooms away, I begin to laugh. It would be nice if you would just get it sometimes. Xavier. Work on that, I murmur as I slip out of the water, using my old shirt to dry off. Interestedly I pick up the clothes he brought, wondering what he decided to get me. The shirt is a casual top, with a little bit of lace, and is sleeveless. The jeans are nice also, a little bit more fitted than my other ones. He brought some shoes too, golden ones that match the top. With pleasure, I sigh as the unfamiliar clothes brush against my skin. You can come now, I call, and Xavier zooms to my side. His blue hair is tousled. Some strands sticking straight up. His face is a little exerted, but that is to be expected from someone that just ran several miles. Here is your food, he exclaims, whipping out a brown paper bag. My stomach suddenly growling. I take it out of his hands, reveling in the warmth radiating from it. This looks good, I emit as I survey the contents, a biscuit, bacon, and eggs. Xavier leads me over to a big rock, and I sit on it, my ankle hurting when I place weight on it. You didn't walk on your right foot, did you? He probes suspiciously. I used a cane. Don't you think you are a little young for that? He laughs, merry pearls of joy ripping through the thick air. Nah, I shake my head as he sits on the ground, taking my foot in his hand. He takes the first aid kit beside him, drawing out a long bandage to wrap around the injury. Why did you get in the stream? He asks as he works. Do I have to have a reason? I snap jokingly, wondering why Xavier always manages to put me in a good mood. You know, I would love it if you actually obeyed me sometimes. Where's the fun in that? I ask honestly, my voice jesting. He peers at me, his eyes of laughter. You would get rewarded with a kiss, he smiles, and for a minute, that seems like a pretty sweet prize. Ew, I yell, though my blush betrays the truth. Why would I want a kiss from you? I'm the hottest guy at your school, he smirks. Why wouldn't you want a kiss from me? Who said you were the hottest guy at our school? I accuse. Just about everybody, duh. He struggles over the modern term, making me laugh. Well, why would I want a kiss from an old werewolf then? Because I'm hot, he answers. And I'm not old. We went over this. He pauses, almost caressing my foot as he puts the final touches on my bandage. Hot isn't good enough, he winks. I should be sizzling hot. Don't you think? Mona. Arrogant, much, I ask. Not really listening to him anymore. Don't sidestep the question, he orders, grabbing my hand. All that matters is you. Mona. Tell me honestly, I can tell he is joking, but his words still strike a chord in my chest. We are suspended in time. The fated words forming in my lips, yet my mouth too cowardly to say them. I stare into his eyes, sparkling with cheer, examining his altogether beautiful features. I pull away quickly, looking away. What time is it? I ask, trying to avoid his penetrating gaze. Xavier looks to his wristwatch. 7:40, he says, and I sigh in relief. For a minute. I thought we had lost track of time. I can get us there in 2 minutes, he says plainly. With a shortcut. Cool, I murmur, then dig in with my fork into my meal. There is a slight rumble of satisfaction as the delicious eggs grace my stomach. I linger over each bite, delighting myself in the wonderful taste. Xavier sits, watching me with a strange expression. What are you looking at? I murmur, my voice irritated. He chuckles. Nothing, he murmurs. It is just that I have never seen anyone so happy when eating food. Well, I don't get much of it, I mutter under my breath, my words clearly heard by the stunning man before me. He snorts in agreement. Obviously she wants you to starve to death. I don't reply, consumed with swallowing the last bite of biscuit. Now I move on the bacon, my favorite part. It is slightly crunchy, with just the right amount of salt. Wonderful. I never knew you could sing, and so prettily, he says finally, after a long period of silence. You don't seem like the type. Is that supposed to be an insult? I question, offended by his remark. I swallow the last of the bacon, smiling in contentment. Only you, he sighs, would take that as an insult. I suppose I should get used to it. Of course, I grin, my crooked teeth winking in the gasps of sunlight bursting through the treetops. It's not like I am going to change. Sure. Whatever, he says, standing up and brushing the leaves off his pants. We got to go. It's 7:55 and school starts at 8:00, right, I nod in response. He beckons, and I walk to him, my heart thumping furiously in my chest. He grabs me, his hands wrapped around my waist and knees, and begins to run through the wild underbrush, path unknown. I wonder how he can go so fast. Everything around me is a blur, and it is impossible to see where we are going. He probably has supervision, too, werewolves just get it all. Don't they? By the time we reach the school, I have a barrage of questions to ask him. Where are the other supernatural creatures? I probe, my voice questioning. He grins. A Twilight fan. No. But I've heard about dragons and fairies and stuff like that, I truthfully say. His smile widens. We aren't 100% sure, but we haven't seen any other supernatural creatures. So far it is just us, and the shifters. Well, there are some cases of werewolves where they morph into a dog instead of a wolf. Crossbreeds, he shakes his head. Why wolves? I truthfully have no idea. Maybe the fact that we are dogs signifies that we are servants to the humans. Or maybe it's because dogs are just that awesome, he smirks as he drags me into the bone-crushing throng of students. I like that first one, I laugh in return, both of us quickly enveloped by rushing classmates. Xavier nearly buried with his fans. He just seems to attract attention wherever he goes. Going to my locker. I turn the dial to get my stuff, and after thinking a little, open Xavier's too so his fans won't block my locker in attempts to flirt with him. I search for him, for that blue mop of perfectly tamed hair that I would recognize anywhere. There he is. I troop to his group, trying to wedge my way through the planets in an effort to reach the blinding sun. Xavier spots me, and smiles. Move, he demands, and the girls part like the Red Sea, leaving a regal pathway to the man himself. You liked it better when I didn't go to your school, right? He questions knowingly. I laugh, as if that was the silliest question I have ever heard, smiling up at him. I admit. I might have done that to tick the girls off. I didn't really know you before you decided to come to my school, I whisper, leaning in close to his ear so they can't hear the snap in my remark. All they probably notice, though, is how close I am to him, how I managed to break past the barrier he has created around himself. I might have done that to tick the girls off too. Xavier seems pleased at my slightly flirtatious manner, responding so well that it makes the girls cringe. They seethe as our conversation continues all the way to the classroom. No one else managing to get a word in. Thanks for saving me, he whispers as we reach social studies and the crowd disperses. We stand in the doorway. I secretly immersing myself in his company, in the radiation of light that always oozed from a popular person. But our comfortable silence is not maintained for long, a familiar blonde appearing by Xavier's side. Hey Xavier, Sydney greets. Her pretty blue eyes like an ocean. She waits for a response but there is nothing. As usual, she completely ignores me. However, that is to be expected, especially since she is a popular girl. I'm like Z-list. Or no list. Hey, he finally emits after a long, strained silence. Sydney is absolutely determined to make him talk, and I think he knows that. Her cute oval face breaks into a smile at his word. So, she begins, her bright red lips contrasting greatly against her lightly tanned skin. I'm having a party on Monday. Be there. Her voice has sort of the same effect as his when he is acting as the leader, her authority clearly realized. Avoiding the answer Xavier will definitely give, she glides away to Ian, her poor little boyfriend. Wow, I murmur. That was scary. Yes, it was, he agrees. We enter the classroom completely, and begin to talk randomly about the teacher. Xavier is one of those good guys, one of the ones that can't find anything bad to say about anybody. However, even he was able to cough up a few negative comments. I burst into laughter when he finally determines that he really is a bad teacher after almost 5 minutes of contemplation. The bell rings and we race to our seats, the teacher just now arriving. I look to Sydney, spotting her death glare once more as Xavier asks me what the homework was. I shake my head. My homework was completely forgotten. Another 0. I suppose. However, Xavier seems to have a different idea. He grabs the textbook we were studying, both of our worksheets, and places them side by side. He looks carefully to see that no one is around, and then his hand moves so fast it blurs. I roll my eyes as he gives me my completed sheet, with similar handwriting to my own. Wow, I whisper. How did you get my handwriting so well? He leans in close to my ear, his voice piercing me. I am a genius. You can thank me later. He winks. He grows silent as the teacher shoots us a deathly look, full of menace and command. He kind of reminds me of Ms. Penn but a slightly milder version. The rest of the period zooms by until he gives us free study time. In other words, I don't want to teach right now so I am going to leave you brats alone time. He plops on his Mac, probably surfing an online dating site. By the looks of him, he probably has to put a fake picture on his profile. As soon as it starts and the teacher is officially out of the way, Sydney stands up with a few of her loyal cronies. She trumps our way, the rest of the class kind of circulating around the fight that is just waiting to happen. Strangely, she passes Xavier and goes straight to me. Smiling, the queen bee addresses me for the very first time. Mona, her sparkling eyes flutter. Right, I nod, just a little dazzled by her close proximity, the fact that she is talking to me. She leans in close to my ear, and I subconsciously allow her to do so, still in a little daze. She gives off the same attention-grabbing aura as Xavier does, and that sort of intimidates me. Then she really speaks. Get away from Xavier, she demands under dreadfully fake laughter. You're an eyesore. What if I don't want to? I ask her, my words clear for the world to hear. Her eyes widen slightly as the whole class begins to gravitate towards our conversation. It is sure to make headline news. Queen Bee threatens small fry. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. She also forgets the fake laughter and peppy smiles, rising to meet my challenge. Just stay away. No, I smile, chuckling inwardly at the fact that I'm trying to stay away. But obviously Xavier is the one that won't leave me alone. They never accuse the boy. Don't they? I will crush you, ugly girl, she drops the volume, saying it softly. And of course it reaches the ears of the one man she was trying to keep it from. Ugly? He asks, astounded. I look at him in fright, knowing he's going to say something stupid next. But she's beautiful, he says loudly, causing me to bend my head in embarrassment. There is a shocked silence, and then the room is consumed with laughter. A blush appears on my cheeks, anger in my blood. What did she do to you? A random guy calls out. Cast a spell on you. I was wrong. The headlines will definitely be, Ugly Girl Bewitches Woman's Most Wanted. And you know what comes next, the burning at the stake. Probably Sydney will be the first one to light the match. Sydney grows tomato red with anger. She's beautiful. Then what am I? She asks him frenziedly. He trails off, thinking deeply, leaving Sydney with her mouth agape. The bell rings in the confusion, and Xavier whisks me out of the classroom, out of the prying eyes of the people that just witnessed the scene. Why did you say that? Xavier. Now Sydney is going to kill me. The blush still lingers on my cheeks, so bright that it looks like red paint is splashed on each of them. I did something stupid. Didn't I? Yeah, well, it is a little too late to realize that now. Don't you think? I ask, bite in every word. He looks to the ground, and then brightens considerably. I have a surprise for you after school, if that makes you feel better, he grins, making me yawn in return. In case you want to know, that doesn't make me feel better, I say sarcastically, and he frowns. What's with that sort of attitude? He gazes at me. I already said I'm sorry. If you want, I'll give you some flowers or something. No, not flowers. I shake my head, imagining Xavier walking in the lunchroom with a bouquet the size of my whole body. You know what you can give me. Lunch money. Nah, he waves that idea off, spiking anger in my chest. You want to get me flowers, but you don't care if I don't eat. Just trust me, okay? He asks, slightly irritated, and I shut up. The whole day after this passes quickly, though full of taunts and rumors. According to the last one I overheard. I am a witch who got jealous of Sydney. This part made me grin. Sydney always implements herself into everything, so I cast a spell on Xavier so he would fall in love with me instead. And this was all said with complete trust and assurance. They're probably stupid enough to truly believe it. I guess, though, that is one of the only reasons for our situation that they can think of. They couldn't imagine him actually liking me for real. Which, in a way, is a little true. The reason he likes me is only because we are mates, after all. After another surprisingly exciting day of school comes to a close. Xavier almost immediately sweeps me into his arms. Not with people watching, I swat at him, and he ashamedly puts his arms down. However, his excitement cannot be quelled, and he grabs my arm. With astounding force that he really doesn't need to use, he pulls me into the forest surrounding the school, near the same place where I almost fell to my death. Where are we going? I ask as he once again cradles me in his strong arms. I inhale his scent, reveling in the warmth he offers. The orphanage, he assures me. I sigh in relief. With Xavier's super speed, I'll gain a few extra minutes of cleaning time while the orphans are walking home. Maybe this was his surprise. Each minute counts, especially when you are trying to clean the whole building by nightfall. We finally reach the ugly orphanage, and he sets me down softly on a big rock. I stand up quickly, rushing to the door. You can go now. Xavier, I call. You don't want to be seen. But he only laughs, as if that is the funniest thing he has ever heard. I start to think that maybe I'm missing something. I rush up the steps to the door, hesitate before the knob, and knock. I don't want to annoy Ms. Penn any more than I already have. The door slowly opens, and an enticing man with white, shimmery hair appears before me. Jake, I ask, confused. Why are you here? Ms. Penn comes into view, smiling brightly. I can't believe it. She nearly moans in ecstasy. You really leaving? I am so happy I have to celebrate. She disappears, probably off to bake a cake or something. Xavier brushes past me to stand by Jake's side. We going to kidnap you. Jake informs me with a smile. Who said I wanted to live in the same house as him? I stare pointedly at the annoying man before me. Did we ask for your opinion? He laughs genially, and they both charge towards me. Fear swallows me whole, the life sucked out of my face as I wait for them to come. What a surprise. A life without stake. This is your room. Xavier leads me towards a narrow door, and opens it for me. I look in wonder at the curved ceilings, the gorgeous bed that is 3 times as big as me. I narrow my eyes at him, suspicious. You're not sleeping in this room too, are you? Yi happens to hear my statement as he walks by, and grins. No, he answers for the blushing blue-haired idiot beside me. But it is right next door. I turn on him, smiling at the redness now spreading through his features. There is one other room available, Xavier plainly explains. But it's connected to Wes's room. Might not be the best idea to take that other room, Yi laughs. You might wake up to find your innocence stolen, Yi. Xavier elbows him, and Yi starts to laugh even harder. Once I examine him, I realize that he really looks the youngest out of all of them. I wonder if that has anything to do with his underdeveloped talent. I trail off, wandering into the splendor that I can only call heaven. I pretend to be discontent, though actually reveling in happiness. It is all so beautiful, 10 times better than my previous room. Guilt floods through at the thought that I owe something to that stalker werewolf. I know you like it, a temptingly low voice murmurs into my ear. I jump to realize that Jake is by my side. Who says I do? I haughtily reply, looking away from Jake's entrancing form. He smirks, voice teasing. Xavier's not here anymore. You don't need to act like a spoiled brat. He nods towards the empty doorway. I gaze at Jake's all-knowing sneer with bitter contempt. Then melt onto the silky comforter of my bed. Closing my eyes, I give my mind a chance to let this all sink in, for my head might explode if any more changes occur. Why do you act this way towards Xavier? He questions, sitting beside me. My eyes flutter open, and I let my gaze drink in Jake's head of sparkling white hair, his bright emerald eyes. He just annoys me. I shrug slightly, leaning against the headrest. Jake grins, his eyes alight. Well, you're stuck with him now, he laughs. Since we kidnapped you. I groan with irritation. I thought it was called adoption. You know that's not true, though I am old enough to be your grandfather many times over, he points out, his face of mischief. You really are our prisoner. What? Think about it, he smiles. You are surrounded by 5 incredibly handsome werewolves that could overpower you in under a second, and they all want you to stay in this house. To top it off, you're my new daughter. I frown, my uneasiness blooming under the soft white lights. You idiot, I laugh. Turning on my side, away from the monster. Xavier wouldn't make me do anything I didn't want to do. But what about the rest of us? Jake's eyes suddenly turn eerie, his voice jesting. We don't exactly have the same policy. I don't even shudder as he leans towards me on the plush bed, glaring at me with his now ferocious green eyes. Xavier will protect me, I say confidently, trying once again to turn away, but I am caught by his strong arm. Leave me alone, I command, my heart finally starting to beat faster with nervousness at our physical contact. You have complete faith in Xavier, even though you don't love him. The searing question rips through my defenses, introducing more questions that I am not truly prepared to answer. I shove them to the edge of my mind, forcing the matter at hand to surface. He has never let me down before, I shrug, leading Jake to shake his head. You just won't accept it, he says, his tone matter-of-factly. Go away. Daddy, I twist so I am lying face down on the comfy bed, dwelling in my thoughts. The word daddy, even though I say it in jest, feels strange on my tongue, almost retreating back inside my mouth. I have not said that word in many, many years. There are footsteps, then complete and utter silence. I am alone. Comfort enters me, twisting its way into my heart as I lay on the plush comforter, soothing my soul. It is true that I am a prisoner here, but I can't help but realize that I am now basking in luxury that far outshadows my situation at the orphanage. A 3D TV stretches against the left wall, one of the biggest I've ever seen, right beside a stack of movies that reaches 4 feet tall. The bed I'm in is king size, big enough to swallow about 5 of me in its gigantic berth. Everything is absolutely luxurious, drenching my eyes with pure splendor. Where do they get all this money? I crawl further into the bed's center, pulling back the comforter. I slip under it with ease, gaping at the huge size of the mattress. It is pure heaven, almost like the water from this morning, easing my pain. Looking to the side, I spot a remote that is nearly as big as my arm. With delight, I grab the board of buttons, examining the temperature controls. The wonder knobs that induce prime massages. This really isn't necessary. Maybe they are using all this to bribe me into submission. I shouldn't be touching this pleasurable remote, or delving through the flurry of sheets into the colossal mattress. Closing my eyes, I try not to focus on the ripples of opulence surrounding me. I imagine myself as a fierce warrior battling a bunch of familiar werewolves for freedom. Even the thought brings a smile to my face. But I have to be honest to myself, is that fantasy really possible? Could I battle those gifted werewolves and have even the smallest chance of winning? Could I take on even one? I give up on all hope for resistance, and sink into the cushiony depths of heaven. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. My eyes fly open as screams and yells erupt elsewhere. Slipping to my feet, I pad to the doorway.